Hi guys, I believe the numbers 11, 30, 23, and 11, 11, 11 all talk about the same thing, the 3rd of November or 11-3. I can see it down here in the snow, the number 11, the number 3 over here. We pointed that out before. I can see it here in The Simpsons, the number 2 being a representation of 11, and 3 again in a nuclear plant with days without accident. I did a video last year on the Texas shooting, which happened to start at 11:30, another 11:3 reference. Last year, Donald Trump's Twitter account was also shut down for 11 minutes at 11 p.m. Universal Time in November, set of 3 11s, 11:3. The number 23, again, representation of 11:3. 11 11 11 marks the date. You can't stop what's coming. This is a movie that came out. There's again 3 11s or 11:3. The CNN logo is a sideways number 2 and also a number 3 smushed together. Number 23, 11-3. The Destiny's Child Jumpin' Jumpin' song. I remember this song because the video was so all over the place, like an earthquake was happening. And the time reference is 11:30 because the club is jumping, jumping. I assume that jumping, jumping is not referencing to how good it is, but the earthquake activity that the video seems to be also kind of mimicking with the shaking of the camera. So another 11:3 reference there. Another Simpsons reference from the 3 a.m. video. The time starts at 3, moves to 3:30, and finishes on 11:3 or 11:30, which is again 11:3. Now, from tomorrow, we're going to be in the astrological star sign of Scorpio, which I think is referenced in the iPad Goat 2 video here at the end, or possibly the beginning if the video is reversed, where we have the scorpion, which could be an indication of the Scorpio star sign, which is from October the 23rd to November the 22nd. Not only that, but the element of Scorpio is water. So tsunamis, those kind of events we're talking about happening around this time, East Coast, West Coast, would be in the one of the correct signs or the correct element for that. The ruling planets would be Pluto and Mars. Pluto in mythology was the ruler of the underworld or death, and Mars, obviously we know, in mythology was the god of war. So death and war in this star sign, the ruling planets. And I just think we're coming into the time. This is the last of the watch days we've got coming up. There's only 2 months left to the end of the year. Thankfully, we have come through the majority of the year without too much incident. There's been a lot of localized, large-scale casualties. For example, the Fuego volcano killing how many people there, just suddenly erupting. The Indonesia earthquake and tsunami killing how many people there, and various other locations around the world. So it's not as if we've been completely without incident, but the incidents we've been looking for haven't quite occurred. So there's not much time left for them to occur, and there's not many dates left for them to occur on. The 23rd of October, the 25th, and 27th, I'm looking out for anything happening in the UK, chemical, biological in nature. Also keeping an eye on Donald Trump as well, because as I've said before, these events seem to quickly escalate because it appears that Donald Trump has been taken out of the picture somehow, at least for, I don't know if that's permanently or for a short period of time. The indications would be a short period of time, but for whatever reason he's not there, and things quickly get out of control. And that's not because he's a savior of anything, it's because it's been set up to go that way. Um, Everything is kind of balancing on Donald Trump's shoulders, which is just the way that he wants it. It's like a Jenga tower, as I've said before. Pull away that piece and the tower comes collapsing down. All the alliances that have been weakened and all those other things, it's all part of the master plan. But you have to remember that not everyone is included in that plan. So there are government officials and people working in these organizations that are doing genuine work and have no idea what they're a part of. So it's really the people at the top levels that know what's going on, and because they direct everyone else, they get their things done. But beyond that, we've got November the 1st, looking out kind of late at night in Hawaii, seeing if anything occurs with Kilauea. That would mean something occurring on 11/2 for the west coast. They're looking out for 11/3 on the east coast. Again, tsunami-like in nature, most likely including nuclear devices, torpedoes and submarines. And then following on from that, it would be 11/5, where I think, the actual attack on the mainland would begin, having cleared the way with the tsunamis on the east and the west. Obviously, I hope all of that doesn't happen. It would be incredibly surreal if it all started unfolding all of a sudden. Even though we've been talking about it for such a long time, I think it would still be a little bit surprising to see it actually unfold, obviously because it's coming from an interpretation of an animation which appears to be a cryptic depiction of a second 9/11 event, which would be a false flag needed to start World War III and bring about the New World Order. But if none of that does happen, I won't be making any more videos beyond what the dates I've already talked about. That would include November 10th and 11th, which I pointed out when I saw this here, the S reference possibly being a Saturday, 11 possibly being November, and what looks like the number 10 here, which, if that is all saying S1110, that would correspond to Saturday the 10th of November, and obviously that would maybe have connections with the 11th of November as well, considering time zones. So beyond those dates, I'm being very strict with myself and saying I'm not going to be continuing because it is taxing, to be honest with you. And it's been a year and a bit, so I think that's enough time. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.